Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for his friends, for his sheep. A hired man who is not a shepherd and whose sheep are not his own, see a wolf coming and leave the sheep and run away. And the wolf catches and scatters them. This is because he works for pay and has no concern for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I will lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. These also I must lead, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock, one shepherd. This is why the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own. I have power to lay it down and power to take it up again. This command I have received from my Father. The Gospel of the Lord. So Jesus calls himself the Good Shepherd. In other words, there's a superlative. There is a sort of an absolute role model about what a shepherd is, at least from a Christian standpoint, as far as Jesus is concerned. And he says, a good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. And so now he says there's also a good shepherd. So a good shepherd is someone who has placed themselves under the good shepherd and models their life after that type of shepherding. And this good shepherd, you see, is laying down his life for the sheep. One of the things that occurred to me is I even stumbled in the word. Instead of sheep, I said friends, because in the gospel later on, Jesus also talks about laying down his life for his friends. And it occurred to me this morning as I was reading the text that I have seen how influential friends are in my own life. And I've seen the effects it has also in other people. And sometimes friends can be helpful, and sometimes they can be hurtful. And so as friends, we have an opportunity to be under the Good Shepherd and shepherding one another simply in our friendship. I did a little poking around this morning in an old college book, and I found something very interesting. I remembered reading in college, which I think would also make good high school reading, Mr. Gillis, the Nicomachean Ethics. Is anybody familiar with that? Yeah. Okay, so wonderful book. And some have speculated that had Aristotle met Christ, he would have been a Christian, because there's enough in his writing that could suggest that. He identified three types of friends in the Nicomachean Ethics. And by the way, Nicomachean Ethics, Nicomacheia was his son. And so you could say this was like his advice to his son. And it's not hard reading, by the way. There's friends for pleasure. And in and of themselves, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's good to be with enjoyable people. However, there are also places where that could go that might not be so good. And then there are also friends that are useful. You might have a study group that is useful, and you know people through your friendship with them, or simply we're comrades at school, or we see one another at Mass, and we provide news for each other. We serve as Eucharistic ministers and lectors, and so we become useful to each other even at the Mass. Or it's the clerk you know well at Market Basket. You see all the time, and you have a friendship with them, but the friendship is based on customer and cashier. And then there's the friends who are friends for the good. Their total interest is in the good for the other, not what I think is good, but again, if you study Aristotle, he has a hierarchy of goods, and he's very careful about that. And so a friend is interested in the good for the other. And for us as Christians, what is the good? To be in a saving relationship with Jesus Christ. And Jesus exposes himself as the shepherd who desires to lead us into the perfection of what love is and into the perfection of what life is all about. And so we follow him as our good shepherd, and it becomes our responsibility, if we're really disciples of Jesus, to become good shepherds for each other. And so here it is, right in the whole area of friendship, to be good shepherds for each other. There's something beautiful about that. And Jesus later in the gospel would say, I call you my friends. There's also a marvelous description of what a good friend is in the book of Sirach, chapter 6, if you want to play around with that.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia.